Hey there, good morning. It is 11:10 a.m., June 8th, Sunday morning, and I've been up for quite a while. I already had my coffee. Last night, I was kind of pissed off by the time I went to bed. Now, let me tell you what happened. Yesterday, I talked about me being finished with my project, right? The project that I'm going to be showing to employers. And so yesterday, I was completed. My whole thing was completed, and then I tried to export my video so that I can save it into a video format, right? So what ended up happening was that you know how sometimes your computer times out, like it gets that it kind of fades out in the screen type thing, and it starts to give you problems, and it says the program's going to close and everything. Okay, now I made a bunch of edits on that video, and I ended up not saving my work. Okay, so then I still have 3 more slides to add to that video because it didn't save, and I was livid. I was like, oh my god, because you know what it is. When I feel like I want something done, I want it done because I need a sense of accomplishment. So yesterday I felt angry because I was done and I was surprised at myself for not continuously saving my work like I usually do. So I have to back up, and I only have like 3 sides to add, but still it's like I'm angry that it didn't it didn't go as planned. Okay, so yesterday I was pissed off, so I decided to go for a walk up to the store, and then by the time I got back I was a little bit more relaxed, but I was still angry and very agitated. I am a workaholic that expects results, you know what I mean? And if I don't get the results that I want, I tend to be very angry and I just want to be to myself. And I already know who I am. I already know the kind of personality I have. I understand who I am, okay? And I understand what it needs, what I need in order to stay motivated and, feel happy. And when I do not, if little glitches like that make me so angry, but I also understand that I'm somebody who regularly saves my work. And I, for whatever reason, I just did not do it. Okay. And I was so angry at myself because that was my fault. But then at the other hand, it's like I understand I've been under a lot of stress, but I want my projects to go as planned. So then today I had to certify for EDD benefits, right? And you know how I feel about EDD, okay? And the reason why is because I understand that there's been infiltration in these sort of government programs, which makes it so that I no longer trust people. I no longer trust people. So I do not like getting on their website. I do not like communicating with them. I know I have an appointment with them, and I think the next week or whatever. I'm not looking forward to it. And then, I'm like, okay, my son told me last night to go ahead and use Indeed.com to look for work, right? And so I applied to a few jobs, right? And I honestly tell you, I don't like doing that. I really don't. And I know that I've been looking for work in my own particular method in the last week, but this upcoming week, after now that I got the Indeed.com, the job search done this morning, and I also got my stupid certification done this morning. Now I feel a little bit better. If I know that I have to do something that I fucking hate to do, I want to make sure I do it first thing in the morning. I want it out of my way so that sometime during the rest of the day I can get in a better mood. Okay, because I will tell you, anything that relates to, and that's so sad because I've always enjoyed work, but you know what killed my desire for work is dealing with people like Rex Laverne. Okay, unprofessionalism, and then they spread their toxicity among other people. And then so what made me angry about the infiltration in things like the EDD and like the Department of Human Resources is because they are government. They're government. They're supposed to be run by the government standards. So there's not supposed to be any religious infiltration, any of that sort of stuff. So all of that to me is I'm not comfortable with it. I did mention yesterday that I had somebody contact me on a Saturday who worked for the Department of Human Resources or whatever, and I'm going to say this, and they said that they were calling on their private phone. If I was a government, her manager, I would definitely have a talk with them. Why? Because to me, it's like do not conduct business on government business on a personal phone and vice versa. Like you wouldn't want to do that on either way. Okay. I'm just not comfortable with it. Okay. At this point, I don't like talking to anyone, and I have to be honest about my feelings. And this, I was writing up some of my this week why I was so upset about my video not saving the way I wanted it to is because I already had it planned out that this week I was going to devote most of my time to my newsletter, right? And of course, I'm working on my project for the autodidacts at the same time, but still, like I like everything to work as planned. But I have been thinking about, my true feelings about how I feel about this betrayal. And I have been talking about it, expressing it, and being honest with myself and how I feel about it. And I am talking about this in my newsletter because, I will say that the kind of betrayal that I dealt with and the setup, okay, the setup and where it really all, when you go down the rabbit hole, where does this all lead to? And this is the reason why I'm naming this video Materialism with the Side of Swastika. Because I understand that I was born from an experiment that was in collaboration with Operation Paperclip, and this was a Nazi invention, okay, that got filtered into churches through LDS using their, genealogy tracking systems or whatever, their organized, genealogy records to filter it down to other churches and create, these sort of narratives about people who are like myself, which is I'm a cloned person. And so this is where the mind control comes from. The mind control is so fixated on the hatred that these people absorb, like people like clones and stuff like that. We get put in families based on, some sort of agreement, like don't tell the family that, this child, in its past life was a heathen, even though maybe they didn't even have the opportunity to be or convert to Christianity for whatever the reason. Maybe they had good reason. Like in my past life, I feel like I had a good reason not to want to be Mormon or be a part of mainstream religion. So they'll come back and they'll bring you, and then they'll make it seem as though there's something wrong with you. You're fundamentally flawed. And so in a lot of these cases, the families end up abusing this kid. I had mentioned, like, I had watched this video. It was called, it was on Unsolved Mysteries, okay? Now, I don't remember what this episode was called, but they were basically talking about this one girl in her family that I'm assuming she was adopted. But they treated everyone else in that family normal. But they would starve this girl or make her stand for long, excessive hours all by herself, and make her go thirsty and deprive her of sleep and basically abuse this girl. Now, when I saw the video many years ago, I kept thinking, oh, that's sad. It's very sad, right? But I recall knowing certain families, that always had this black sheep member in their family. And now that I've come to understand, how the repopulation post-hard kids and how it filters into incubator babies, cloning, and the amount of mind control that it took to have a population that had dual thinking existing in their minds. One, they acknowledge that there's such things as clones, but they also deny the existence of them. Okay, they have always been quick. I noticed that in my environment growing up, if you mention anything relating to things like reincarnation or anything, you were immediately shot down and made to be feel like you were stupid or that you were just kind of rocking the boat for bringing it up. Okay, and the reason why is because this was a long-held secret, because the Nazis didn't want people to know that they wanted world domination. That's why they were doing it. And this is one of the reasons why they use churches, because they know that if you sit there and bring up God and make it an issue relating to something supernatural and a supreme being, then people are going to be highly pressured to do this, right? So this is the reason why when our country was formulated, that they put in the First Amendment. That's not specifically related to clones, but thank goodness that they did. Thank goodness that they did, okay? Because when you combine religion with leadership, okay, in the context of running a country or whatever, things can get tyrannical. And this is exactly what happened. So now the only thing is that we had these things going on in churches where churches were going around, ostracizing people. And do I believe that these churches are responsible for the homeless problems that we have? I totally believe so, because it's becoming a pick and choose as to who's going to live and who's going to die, and you have to be one of their slaves in order to live. This is absolutely crazy. Okay, but what we're dealing with is like a covert operation with genocide wheels in motion. Okay, so yes, I do recognize that this was originated, with the idea of strengthening, the white race. Now, at the same time, and I think it's fair for me to say, I have never, ever, ever come off as racist. I feel, that at this point in my life, looking back at how big this operation is, and I had mentioned, my brother-in-laws. I had two brothers-in-laws that were, I would say, I would call them, quote unquote, soldiers for Christ, okay, that they felt as though they wanted to come in. The best way they could spy, right, is to use my black sisters, right, to gain information and report back. Because I know that my brother-in-law, Jim Culligan, he was always bragging about the celebrities that he knew. When he would come over, and I used to think, oh, okay, so my brother-in-law is in with the celebrities. I wonder how he got in with the celebrities. Okay, I'm pretty sure that he manipulated the situation, seeing as how my biological mother is a celebrity. Okay, so all of this networking stuff was going on behind my back, without me knowing. I had no idea I was Diana Ross's daughter. Okay, and so I had mentioned before, I feel as though this is like a big freak show. The reason why it feels so macabre to me, it's like you have these your adoptive siblings, right? As well as when my mother was alive, my adoptive mother was alive, she knew that I feel as though she knew that they were setting me up, like I was being set up. It's very macabre and very disturbing that my adoptive family were operating and working with Rex Laverne to obtain, things and prevent me of my rights. And then we had the Ross family who was working along my adoptive family, as well as Rex Laverne, to financially exploit me. Never had they ever made any effort to reach out to me for any sort of real close family bonds. Now, mind you, I don't care about them, okay? But what I'm trying to make a point is that we know what their real motivations were, okay? So to me, I can't help but feel like it's creepy and macabre, because we have my adoptive family all these years pretending that they were my family, and then yet they have this operation thing going, taking advantage of the fact that Rhonda Ross, my twin sister, looks like me. God knows what these people were doing. Okay, do I get the feeling that they had something to do, like Rhonda Ross had something to do with the ghost ads and all this other stuff, okay, and as well as issues relating to my social media and everything else. These people were wicked, and I'm going to tell you, when it comes to some of these clones, because I'm not saying this to be mean, but some of these clones, such as Rhonda Ross and Diana Ross, these people, they have criminal minds, and the reason why they have criminal minds is because this is the only way that they know how to survive. This is what I'm telling you. Some of these clone people that that I got a chance to talk to. Now I don't recall ever talking to Rhonda Ross. I barely spoke to Diana Ross. Okay, I had written her a message many years ago, I think 2 years ago, and her only response was like, yeah, like that's it. That's all she said. Okay, which kind of let me know that she didn't have a whole lot of intelligence, and it really wasn't I wasn't interested in getting to know her. And then when I started really thinking about it, it's like, why would you want to get to know somebody like that? To me, that kind of person can only be wicked. Okay, so anyway, yeah, they were responsible for the ghost ads. Okay, so my point is like, when it comes to, and I do get the intuitive message that the clone population is free, like they're waking up and understanding that some of these people who are claiming to be their handlers have no real reason to be doing that. Okay, and yes, their rights are being acknowledged, and that's important. Okay, but I wanted to say this message to some of these people in this clone community, meaning my soul tribe or whatever. It is not in your fault that you were raised in such an enclosed environment and that people withheld information from you. And I do get the feeling that some of you guys may not have any idea of how to work with money. And that is very scary. And it is a concern of mine, because I'm concerned about you guys being further exploited as you guys try to pick up on your feet and move forward. My thing is that, it is not anything to be ashamed of if you were placed in this situation. Some of you may not even it might be even possible that some of you may not even be able to read. Like I said, this is not your fault, okay? But you do need help. And the thing is that there's nothing wrong with asking for help, but there is an issue of who you can ask for help from, because there are a lot of people who would see that you're trying to ask for help and look at that as an opportunity to further exploit you. This is how deep this program is, okay? A lot of people want to latch on and abuse people, like celebrities, because they do have a high profile in a lot of ways, and they know that they can use you to become exploited, to exploit you, to get things from you. Okay, so be very careful. I will try my hardest, to make videos in the future, as to teach people, but really, like I work in accounting, but I am not like. Okay, so I'm back. I got interrupted. So anyway, about my concern about people in my soul tribe, people who are clones, who might need assistance. Like I said, I work in accounting, but I am not somebody who can give people financial advice. I have never gotten that far, like where people I could be considered an advisor. I'm more like a bookkeeper type of person. What you want, if people are watching my videos and there's people who want to help people in certain situations, for example, adults who need to understand how money works, okay? If you guys could go out and help make these sort of videos and make them easily accessible, like put them on YouTube and stuff like this, I see a great need for stuff like this, okay? I think I know this sounds silly and basic, but it's like I'm trying to help people, because a lot of people have been in a form of slavery all of their lives, okay? And it's been out in the open, like it's been played out in the open, and there's been people in deep denial about it for a very long time. And people need help. Like, they need help in understanding things like money. They need to understand, once they earn money, what do they do with it? Now, I understand that, right? But there are certain people who are stepping out into the world who's never had that opportunity before, and it could overwhelm them. So if you have financial skills, okay, true financial skills, because we know there's a lot of fake professionals out there, okay, your videos that you create to help people, adult people who don't have these sort of skills, could be of great benefit. And the videos that you make could be used to further your career. This is what I'm saying. So it's like there's ways that you could express your knowledge, show your knowledge, and help other people at the same time. Do you understand? So anyway, what else do I want to talk about? Okay, yeah, I was in my newsletter, I'm being very honest about my true feelings about the residual effects of what happened to me. Okay, now I had people turned against me. I had people who wanted to see me die. I had people who wanted to torment me. I had people who wanted to judge me, were quick to judge me and condemn me based on something that was created by Nazis. Okay, and people who were judging me were doing this in the context of religion, when the majority of people have very little understanding of anything in their Bible. They don't understand the origins of it, nor anything about their denomination. And this tells me a lot about people, okay? It tells me a lot about their nature, tells me a lot about what they are willing to accept in their mind, in their heart, and what they're willing to act on, okay? I understand that I was an apparition of the 1960s, and this is something that got attention. But why did people assume that I was not of God? What made people think that I was not of God? You know what I mean? Obviously I am, but I do believe it had something to do with, number one, the fact that the whole burden baby thing was, that was already in operation. And mind you, I had been cloned before via incubator through these sort of programs, okay? So this was already going on. But what made people think that I was evil is because of the idea of these people bringing strong historical figures back from certain time periods who were not probably Christian. They weren't Christian, or maybe they outright rejected some of the religions that were being imposed on them, okay? That does not mean that they were bad people or anything. It just means that they want, see, this is related to bloodlines, okay? A lot of it has a lot to do with bloodlines, and I believe that this particular race of people wanted to kind of have a competition, with people who really didn't want to have any sort of issue at all. Like, this is like, I know in my targeting, I've dealt with people like Steve Murray who continuously wanted me to constantly prove my skills. Somebody who wants me to, work really hard but get no credit for it, this sort of stuff. This sort of, to me, it's like, they hire you for the sake of experimenting on you. Okay, so under that sort of system, the morale is non-existent. Like there is no reason why somebody would have any morale to do anything, because if you have a career dream, or you have any sort of ideas to act upon those dreams, you're just going to be met with a brick wall. Why? Because you have this stupid group who is demanding that you pay attention to them, that you acknowledge and adhere to their rules. And I can tell you right now, as an American citizen, I'm going to tell you to go screw off. Okay, I am not going to adhere to your stupid religion. And see, a lot of people who join these people, including blacks, Mexicans, Asians, whatever, who participate in these sort of things, they don't think about the deep roots of how the church intertwined with all of this sort of stuff. What they think about is maybe community, their tradition, or whatever. But yeah, it does matter. Okay, it does matter. So I am somebody who has, because I've been betrayed my entire life by a lot of people who belong to different racial backgrounds. Okay, I am not partial to anyone. Okay, and you know why? Because I've seen too much evil. That's why. So some people in the past have accused me of like supporting Black Power and all this other stuff. I can honestly acknowledge the fact that yes, Black people get discriminated against. There's no doubt about that. There is no doubt about that. But I can also tell you that I've been betrayed by several Black people. Several Black people, okay? So no, I don't sit here and favor anybody. I favor absolutely no one. I can sit here and tell you why and what issue I have with each race who betrayed me in my targeting. For example, I resent the fact that I had these Asian people that I used to know that I considered my friend at one time. I'm going to tell you, some of these Asian people would bend over backwards and eat the shit directly coming out of the ass of a white man if they asked them to. Okay, and this is the reason why I don't respect them. Same thing with a lot of Mexicans. They'll bounce back with the whole, oh, we're not white, and then when they feel the pressure, oh, suddenly they're white again. I get tired of those people too. Okay, so, and I get tired of my Black family marrying, Nazi people and all this other stuff. Okay, so I do not have any sort of partiality. To me, all I've ever seen was a bunch of hypocrites and people who want to, get the easy way out. And if that means, pretending to be something that they're not, so be it. Okay, so no, I'm not. I'm not. Okay, I've come to the understanding that I don't care for people. Okay, and what I do care for people, and I don't care for people. Let me explain. I believe that people have been misguided, okay, and they have allowed themselves to be tricked into a lot of things that they seriously regret. And I think a lot of people suffer, and they're like crabs in a bucket, wanting to pull other people down, and they're desperate to do it. They're just like trying to claw out of the crab bucket. But we had people like Steve Murray and dangerous people like Laverne that was constantly pushing them down. So they feel as if they can form allegiance with these people who are harming them, that life is going to be good for them. There is no winning when you sit here and mess with these sort of people. There is no winning when you're dealing with Nazi ideals and Nazi type people. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why a lot of people in my position, they would have been tricked into believing that, anybody that was coming their way was actually going to be on their side and support them. I understand how trafficking works, and I understand that white people, when I'm talking about white people, I'm not referring to white people who may or have not been a part of this. I'm talking about the Nazi ideas, okay? Nazis will use different races to participate in this. I've seen it. I've experienced it firsthand, okay? So I understand. I'm somebody who prefers to be on their own, okay? Now, I understand that, and I keep thinking, Maria, how do I really feel about interacting with people who were participating in my death plot, okay? I honestly can't find any respect for people who've done it. When you deal with things like human trafficking and and gang stalking, to me, there is no innocent bystanders, okay? And so this is my feeling. This is my true feeling, okay? So I understand that when it comes to me being, having to function outside, I have my professionalism. I understand that I have to communicate with people when it comes to my career, okay? But I am saying is that society hopefully will improve itself. But when it comes down to it, I understand the mindset of the average individual is lowly and criminal. The average mindset of the average person is lowly and criminal. That's exactly what I said, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm not ashamed to say it. You know why? Because this proves it. It proves it. And for a very long time, people have been indoctrinated with this sort of Christian ideology. And so, I understand why. Tanya and Jim used to come into my house, and they would be grinning ear to ear with that weird look on their face, that glazed over look, that hypnotized look, and they were talking about how coming to Christ and everything. The reason why I like coming to Christ is because it gives them the ability to kill people covertly, and they can get away with it. Okay, I understand what Christianity is. Okay, it is an evil religion. Okay, and I used to be nice about it. I used to sit there and say things like and I understand we do have freedom of religion. Okay, and I never judge people. Okay, but now I'm sitting here really looking at everything that has happened. Okay, and I'm really looking at the origins of what happened deep inside. I cannot ignore the Nazi affiliation. But yet I also can't ignore the willing participants of these people, black, white, Asian, Jewish, and everyone else down the line who were willing to participate in this, okay? So my thing is I'm focusing on my career, okay? And I'm also focusing on my true heartfelt belief that the work sector needs to be improved. Why? Because unfortunately, people like Rex Laverne has made the workplace 10 times more toxic than it has ever been. Okay, with his stupid little thing that he had, this whole issue was played out in the open, okay, to where people understood what was going on. So this explains the reason why I was under surveillance. This is the reason why I was running into all these people that I knew, okay. Rex was too stupid to realize what he was doing was inhumane. He was sitting here making a fool of himself this entire time. You know what I mean? He should have been arrested a long time ago. A long, long time ago. What else do I want to talk about? Okay, so I did talk about the LDS Church, and their involvement in the genealogy and all this other stuff. And so a lot of people I grew up with who were part of my targeting, who, grew up to not bully me in the schoolyard, but also bully me in the workforce, right? And like I said, this was a diverse group of people as well. And, I understand that this is what they were. And I cannot explain or excuse that behavior. I can't do it. I can't. No matter how I try to look at it, to me, these people were just bloodthirsty people. Period. Same with my family, both sides of them, whether that be adoptive or people who were my blood relations. Okay, so basically what these people did was they affected every aspect of my life. They affected every aspect of life, removed everything they tried to remove everything that I cared about. Okay, so I don't look forward to my future, not really. Okay, but the only thing that I enjoy, like I said, is the world that I created for myself. Do I enjoy interacting with other people? No, I don't enjoy interacting with other people. In my mind, somebody who was an active participant, whether these people claim to be innocent on the sidelines or not, you still participated in it. So my value or my look towards most people is going to be like, I don't know if I can trust you. I just want to hurry up and deal with this transaction. I understand we need to have our polite exchanges, but it can't go any further than that. So I need to protect myself any more than I've ever had to protect myself before. Because to me, it has been demonstrated just how low people will go. Okay. Also, I understand, like I mentioned, the fact this trafficking issue was way out in the open. Everybody knew it. This is what they were talking about on social media. Also, I get the feeling that most people do agree that I am the right place to be. I understand that I was attacked because, they didn't like my lifestyle. See, this is what I'm saying about these people who were into the cloning thing and the churches that supported them. They do not see people, clones, as human beings. Okay, yes, we are human beings. Like I mentioned, we have a thought process, we have nerve endings, we have a circulatory system. We're able to feel emotional pain, as well as physical pain. Okay, so we have these individuals that enjoyed harming other people. These people enjoyed the kind of, and felt entitled to harm another individual. I could never respect a person who would do that ever again. I don't care how they get on their knees and beg me to forgive them. I understand what these people were capable of, okay? Which makes it so that, as I look forward in the rest of my life, I understand that I'm going to be very guarded for the rest of my life. Okay? I understand that. So I don't feel safe with people. Period. Also, I am very grateful that clones, in whatever they are getting their freedom. And like I said, there's going to be, because I'm trying to rebuild, if people have the ability to post videos for financial help, even the most, starting with the most basic. I'm talking about the most basic, talking about basic mathematics, okay? Making sure that they understand these sort of things and where they can put them. And these financial institutions that think it's okay to sit here and spread people's information out so willy-nilly, as if they had, like, I understand that people have been talking about what I buy, okay? Then I also am angry because I believe Bruce Collins' mother, who I told these people that I wasn't going to marry Bruce. Okay, this is my son's father, okay? I told them I wasn't going to marry Bruce. I had no interest in marrying Bruce, okay? And I understood. I never asked these people for anything. But then I had Terry Collins think that it was okay to sit here and involve herself in things like my finances. That's none of her business. She also involved herself in things like relating to my side projects, okay? And you know what made her feel entitled to do that? Because she was a Christian. Now, let me tell you something. Like I said, these are Jehovah's Witnesses, okay? And we know Jehovah's Witnesses have always were very boastful about them being separate from Babylon the Great. Catholics were Babylon the Great. LDS was Babylon the Great. Born-again Christians, non-denominational, Presbyterians, Lutherans, anybody who was not a Jehovah's Witness was something that was looked down upon, and they were proud to say that they were separate from these sort of people. So that means that they should have no dealings with these people whatsoever. But somehow or another, now all of a sudden they're all buddy-buddy and in bed together. And she was sitting here trying to claim some sort of rights over my stuff. Delusional. I am tired of these fake Christians all the time thinking that, I have this sort of entitlement. I don't like Christian people, and I'm going to be very open about it. I am very open about my disgust and disdain of Christian people. And see, you know what I hate about Christians? They like to play the victim. You know what I mean? They love to play the victim. Okay? For years I've been saying, oh, so-and-so, we're so persecuted. We're so persecuted. All right? And the reality is they do things that are completely criminal. And when you catch them on their little game, then they want to sit here and play the victim. Christians have a criminal mind, okay? And the whole issue was, when I was studying with Jehovah's Witnesses, when I was in grade school, that was not good enough for those Mormon kids and all the other people in the Lancaster community to prove that I was, at least trying to be a part of organized religion, because I did make an effort. They ignored that, right? Guess Jehovah's Witnesses wasn't being good enough. But somehow it's good enough when Terry Collins is. It's okay when Terry Collins decides to be a Jehovah's Witness, and she's using this as an excuse to be a part of it. Let's just, and the reason why none of this makes any sense, right, is because this was all controlled by Nazis who were playing around with demonic energies such as the Demiurge and the Archons. All of these people are demonic as hell. Okay, and see, everybody always thinks that the majority rules. The people who have the majority thought is where you're always going to go. That's what most people feel safe doing, okay? But see, this whole thing costs a lot of people their lives. Okay? This is one of the reasons why I do not believe in mainstream thinking. I will always think for myself. Always, okay? Always think for myself. Let me see. Is there something else I want to say? Yeah, okay. I understand that I was attacked because I was an autodidact too. You know what I mean? Yeah, I had experienced a lot of problems in my life, with these bullying. But yeah, I mean, just because a person, didn't go to a 4-year college or anything, that it's still legal. I have every right to pursue employment, start my own business, make my own money. It has nothing to do with it. It is all up to the individual employer. Okay, it is all up to the individual employer. They can set the bar as high or low as they want to. Okay, but what these people did is they went around trying to create some sort of campaign against me. That in itself was illegal. Okay, I am somebody who is very proud of being an autodidact. And I was thinking about, because I had this one part in my presentation where I was talking about my father, an NRI. Okay, I am a McGraw-Hill junkie. I'm going to tell you, I am a McGraw-Hill junkie. And I remember even as a kid looking through my dad's NRI books, and we had other correspondent type, materials in the house. And I would tell you that those books would light my eyes up more than what I would have at grade school. Now, mind you, McGraw-Hill did publish textbooks for the public school system, but to me, I really appreciated their correspondence offshoots. I appreciated them a lot more than I did the public school. I enjoyed sitting at home reading them, and then I started to get more vision, like more inspired by the books that I would read directly from things like McGraw-Hill at that time than I did when I was at school. You know what I mean? And I think the reason why is because I'm somebody who doesn't need to have people try to encourage me or whatever. I'm self-driven. So that kind of learning system works good for me. And throughout the years, I have developed my own system of acquiring knowledge that I believe is more beneficial and more useful than what a lot of people are getting in the college curriculums. And so this is one of the reasons why I feel as though I'm more than anyone is qualified to revise the school system, or at least offer suggestions on how to do so. Because this issue just proved a big point. I had a lot of people who were bullying me, trying to shame me for abusing me, right? They abused me in grade school. Now they want to come back and try to make me ashamed of abusing me out of the school system and try to make me feel bad because I don't have a 4-year degree. I don't have this. I don't have this. Knowing good and well it was their fault that I didn't have this in the first place, okay? This is how evil and demonic these people are, okay? But I'm going to tell you right now, I am proud. I am proud of what I've created. I am proud to say that I'm an autodidact, and I am proud to, to get my project together, and I will be even more proud once I submit this to the state, and hopefully they can consider it, because you know what, this whole issue proved with all these so-called professionals coming against me that I was right all along. Okay, we had people who practiced psychology that was in this group. I'm sure there was a few people, the lawyers in this community right here, okay, did not recognize any signs of human trafficking. Let me tell you something. I am more qualified than anyone to speak on the subject of education. Okay, now, that doesn't mean that I'm qualified to speak on every specific subject. Okay, because I'm going to tell you right now, I am no good at things like algebra. Okay, I'm no good at trigonometry. Okay, but I can honestly tell you, if you're talking about relating skills to a person's career, I could say we can pretty much eliminate those. Unless, of course, you're interested in something like, studying things like the astroscience or something along those lines, okay? But for the everyday average person, I would say that, things that relate to what I'm talking about, redesigning career paths, in my upcoming project that's a part of the same series, I would say that I'm right on target with that, okay? Now, do I think that I could incorporate, like perhaps maybe some of those higher level sciences or mathematics into a learning into a learning comprehensive learning package? Possibly, but I would have to have an extensive understanding of that, okay? But it would still be incorporated because, well, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. Still, I'm somebody who's enthusiastic about true education. What else do I want to talk about? I am working on my newsletter today. Today, I'm kind of like hanging out in my room. I got all the negative stuff out of the way, okay? And that's my way of doing things. And I was also thinking, about how it's important that people understand the ebb and flow of their energy. Like, have you ever woken up and you're just like so gung-ho to get something done, and then you encounter somebody, and as you're talking to them, you feel yourself deplete the energy that you had? Sometimes you encounter energy vampires, okay? And it may not even be necessarily a person. It could just be a thing or a situation or event. I understand that, like, there's been times where I felt really gung-ho to do something. I wanted to make that a part of my weekly goal. And then I understand, like next week, okay, on the 16th, I have an appointment with an EDD person, okay? Now, maybe this EDD person's nice. Maybe they're willing to accommodate me. Maybe they are not. But I have been systematically abused by a group of people who orchestrated and who infiltrated several different agencies, and the EDD included. So I'm a little reluctant to sit here and open myself up to this particular person. You know what I want to do? I want to get the appointment over as soon as possible because I don't like communicating with these people. I do not like communicating with these people. All right. So I want it done and over with, get it out of my way so that the rest of my day can be good. See, and unfortunately, they sit here and they give you these time slots. I hate it when the appointment is like between this hour and this hour. I hate that. You know why? Because for 2 hours, I'm going to be very upset and filled with anxiety because all these people are to me are people that I don't want to have anything to do with. Because, like I said, these are supposed to be government employees, so I'm hoping that they're going to follow and adhere to the rules of the government. Hopefully, okay? And also treat me not because what I get a suspicion of is that when you're dealing with things like dual affiliations, like you might have this born again, oh sorry, we won't call it born again, we'll call it a soldier for Christ, okay? No disrespect to Jesus Christ, but you know how some of these people, they feel like they're more important than what they really are, so they feel like they need to be a vigilante. So this one particular person may have gone to church on Sunday, and then since she works for the EDD, she might be one of these vigilantes who's going to who is assigned to be my caseworker, right? So she could be, consulting with her little Christian group to determine the status of my case when that's not how it's supposed to be. She should be following the guidelines of what's written in the government, right? So, I don't trust anyone. I don't trust anyone, okay? So like I said, when she calls or he calls or whatever, just hurry it up and get it over with, okay? Because I don't want to fucking deal with your shit. I don't want to deal with your shit. I can already tell you I'm not excited about having to communicate with this person. So anyway, what else do I want to say? Okay, everyone knows in this community, I only have one family member. My family member is Houston Gordon. He is my son, okay? And, yeah, he's my son. So that means that I used to have life insurance policies many years ago. Of course, they never allowed me to work consistently, so there's been times where I'd sign up and then I'd have to give it up. I no longer have anything to give my son if something was to happen to me. But if something did happen to me and I had something, it would go directly to my son, okay? My son would be the only heir. I do get the intuitive message that there is some sort of hope. I'm hoping to meet Elon Musk. I think he wants to meet me, and I want to meet him. But everything's just kind of on hold right now. I get this intuitive message that that's going to be in the works. Mind you, if I do get the chance to talk to Elon Musk needs to understand one thing. Okay, he needs to understand one thing, that we need to communicate, and this is not a third-party issue. Okay, do not speak for anyone. Do not sit here and try to carry on somebody's message, spy for anyone. I want a true 100% friendship with a person, okay, without the influence of people that I deem to be nothing but demonic. Okay, I don't want my siblings, whether adoptive or my birth siblings or my fucking stupid mother, who I hope is dead by now, whatever. I don't want any of these people, no, because, I want to be Elon's friend, his true friend, meaning, and I don't want anything to penetrate a friendship that's going to either put that in jeopardy or make me feel as though it's defiled, okay? So Elon Musk will be held on a pedestal until he does something that I feel that's inappropriate. Okay, and on the same thing, he knows that he doesn't have to worry about that sort of stuff with me, okay? Because I understand that anything that relates to celebrities and stuff like that, we get forced into, I'm not really a celebrity, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm a celebrity offshoot because my mother is, or my biological mother is one. There's a lot of shady people that, unfortunately, surround us. So anyway, I am going to wrap up this video. I think that's about it. Yeah, that's it. I'm done with this video, but yes, I think my final message and the overall message really is that, it's unfortunate that people like Rex Laverne did what he did. It's unfortunate that this sting of what Nazis have put in place still continues to be felt today. Okay? And like I said, everybody should feel good about who they are as a person. They should be able to like themselves. They should be able to talk about their racial identity without any fear of any sort of repercussion. You are who you are, okay? But you didn't understand something. This particular group of people did not know how to rule. Okay, they had no ability to rule. They have ruined people's lives, including those of the white race. Okay. So obviously things need to change. Okay, so this is the reason why I'm talking about materialism with this side of Swastika, because when you think about their work, their work life that they've set up for people. Like, for example, Rex Laverne, if he had it his way, okay, sure, he tolerated me, bringing in my knickknacks, okay, he tolerated me, wearing nice clothes or whatever. But it's the sort of oppressive manner that some of these employers, set forth for people that goes beyond the issue of clothes and desk ornaments. Okay, I'm talking about people who want to tell you how to spend your money. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? If I have to sit here and work under that kind of demoralizing manner, that sounds like slavery to me. If you're going to dictate how I live, how I see God, what I'm supposed to wear, when and how and what I'm supposed to buy, that is slavery, and you can go fuck yourself. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up, and I will be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Bye-bye.